Hey, this is Judah Mantel from Midnight Coffee Inc., and this is going to be a continuation of the commentary video that I did last time. That was more on the gameplay, and this is going to be about the actual development of the demo level itself. So, I got some great feedback from someone on Reddit, it'll be on the screen now, that when you jump onto a ledge, kind of like this, jump onto another platform, and let's say you miss it, there's no way to kind of fix yourself and get yourself back up without just falling, dying, and respawning. So I added this ledge here, as you just saw, which is a little lip above the ground, so you can't go backwards and fall back, but when you jump back onto it, so you see right now, because there's no ledge here, oh, we got a little stuck, because there's no ledge here, I can't grab on, and then I miss it, and then I have to respawn. So, this just adds another point of contact where the player can grab onto and pull themselves back up. So I'm going to cut here and then jump to the next point at which I added one of these. So this part over here, if you jump, at this point there's no real reason to want to get back, just because assuming you got past the enemy, there's not much to go back for, but just in case you do, I did add this ledge. So the model itself you can grab onto, but I also added, as you'll see in a moment, this other area on top where you can just completely grab yourself and pull yourself fully back up. So now we're going to cut to the scene view and actually go over the way this all works. So the way we actually went about doing this in the Unity editor is basically by adding this object. I'm going to turn on Gizmo so you can see the way this works. Adding this object, it basically, I'll admit, is the ladder just turned sideways, but I think it works really well and looks pretty natural. It looks like another structural element in the world, which is cool. So we have the ladder. I'm going to turn off this. It has a mesh collider on it. But if you were to grab onto it, let's say I'm holding on right here, there's no good way for me to pull myself up without ending up getting like stuck in the ground halfway like this. So what I did was added a box collider, but you can still grab onto it. So there's kind of this, I guess, threshold, for lack of a better word, where you can just barely make it and still be good. Something I actually want to mention from a, I guess, level/game design perspective is that before I added this pool of blood, players they climbed up the ladder and they were really quick to just turn left, and go straight down here, and then they don't have any ammo to fight this enemy with. So I made sure to add this blood stain. So you get up the ladder, you immediately see some color here, and if your eyes just trace it, you'll immediately focus on this table, which has some information about where your gun is kept. And of course we have the ammo, some text, and the health syringe over here. Next I did the same thing, I added another ledge over here. Again, even though it is a reused ladder, I love the way it looks. I just think it really matches with the scene when stretched out like this. So it is a lot bigger than the other one, and it is a lot more level. It's not sticking up, but we still have the same situation where there is a box collider up here and the actual mesh down here. Now, some other stuff just in the level itself that now that we're kind of exploring it from a, I guess, developer point of view, flying through the scene view with the lighting turned off, some things I want to just point out that are a lot of fun that I'm really proud of. One is this stupid, simple little thing, and that is these particle systems, these specific one. So the mesh itself is a stack of planes that just looks like different sized versions of the poster advertising your character, Madeleine Blanchard, the magician, coming to the city. But if I zoom in on the actual object and I open it up, we have the planes, and then we have a particle system that basically spawns just new copies of it, and then they eventually fade out, so they don't rack up a bunch of like performance issues. But it's small little things like this that just, if you when you run the game, and all of them in the scene, there's like 3 I think, they're all going at once, and it just makes the world feel so much more alive, having these tiny objects just floating around. So I love that a lot. So we have the first wall running section over here, and then we have this enemy over here. So this one obviously patrols between these 2 points, but this one, it doesn't have any points to patrol to. It just has this one stationary point that it tries to, I guess, guard, for lack of a better word. But the way it is set up is that its view range is a lot further than the rest of them, specifically because when the player moves from here beyond this wall, he immediately is in the vision of the enemy, and he's also within the attack range, this red line over here. So the enemy will immediately start firing at him and move forward as far as he can if he needs to get closer. So the player is forced to immediately start shooting and just defending him or herself from this enemy, and either kill the enemy from here by shooting, or by trying to evade it by running across this wall and then attacking it from the air, which is always super cool. Now, the enemy AI, I want to talk about this briefly. It's something that I rewrote at least 10 times up until now over the course of the development of this demo. And at least 3 or 4 times while I was working on the demo trying to get it out by the May 15th deadline. It's relatively simple. It's actually a system that I plan on releasing on the asset store whenever I have time to do that. And it's super easily extensible. So if you have certain types of enemies that you want to add, you can just extend from the base enemy class, add new functionality. So if I look at the script here, this shooter AI, it looks very messy. I plan to clean it up with scriptable objects, so I can just create an asset of each enemy type and then just put it in. So this will look a lot cleaner. That'll be done probably like within the next week or so. So you can configure all the default enemy stuff, because this is part of the base class. We also display the enemy state, because it's basically a finite state machine. And then underneath here, we have these settings, which are added specifically by this override class of the shooter AI. So I can adjust all these parameters. So again, I'll actually have a video tutorial coming in the near future when I do release this on the asset store. So let's continue just kind of flying through and just talking about some brief developer stuff. Now, once we get past here, I'm having a lot of difficulties with performance in this area. I think just because past here, there's a lot more physics objects. Like we have this entire ragdoll, which is physics-based, and we have all these different items here, paper, syringe, more ammo, etc. So that's probably it, and I'll probably find a way of just reducing the physics overhead to smoothen things out. To talk a little bit about more details, we have this poster over here. It's the same thing as before, just standing upright so you can get a better look at it. It is modeled after some classic magic posters from like the 40s and 50s. So as someone doing magic professionally for over 10 years, I'm super interested in the history of it. So we have that very similar imagery, the big text, the owls, the doves, or bats, sorry. And specifically the devil imagery. It's a little pixely just because I'm zooming in on it. But devils were like a prominent theme in all these old posters, which you should see on screen now. So it doesn't look great. It's kind of very wrinkled and dirty. And that's kind of the point, because Overlord Douglas here, this giant portrait of him, the, I guess, overlord of the city of Greymount, is summoning magician Madeline Blanchard, the player character, to the city, and all the citizens are like clamoring to just make everyone aware, like, this is happening. So they have to create these haphazard posters just to make people aware. They're strewn all over the city in some levels for the full game. That's basically all I really wanted to touch on in this kind of overview from a developer perspective of the level itself. So I hope you enjoyed that. If you have any feedback, please, good or bad, I don't care if you rip it apart, let me know in the comments or message me, Reddit, Twitter, whatever. I want to know, and I want to implement your feedback and features into the game as soon as possible so you guys can play it at the best possible quality by the June 9th Steam Summer Games Festival. So if you're interested in the game, wishlist it on Steam. So thank you so much for watching. Bye.